All right. Well, I'm going to officially welcome everyone. Good morning. For those that don't know me, my name is Sarah Hagee. I serve as the Executive Director here with the Electrical Association of Philadelphia. This morning, I'm joined by both of my colleagues, Mir Malfarah, as well as Matt Dybert, who happens to be celebrating his 2-year anniversary with the EAP today. So if you will join me in congratulating Matt. This is his second anniversary in quarantine, unfortunately. But Matt, it's been a wonderful 2 years, and thank you. And of course, we are joined by our speakers, Bryan and Mike, who I will introduce here momentarily. I'd like to thank Billows Electric Supply for their sponsorship this morning, as well as Synergy Electrical Sales. A few housekeeping items, as you probably have figured out by now, your mics and cameras are muted, and that's because we are recording this session. You are welcome and encouraged to submit questions using our chat feature. My colleague Matt will facilitate questions towards the end of the presentation. You may also get a response from one of our presenters in real time. As always, we will share today's recording and the contact information of our presenters. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. Joining us from Synergy Electrical Sales is Residential Sales Manager Brian Kelly, and from Lutron Electronics is Mike Mahalik, Regional Sales Manager who's been with the company for over 15 years. So with that, Mike, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sarah, and thanks everyone for joining us. And my name is Mike Mahalik. As Sarah introduced, I manage the wholesale channel in the Mid-Atlantic region, and I've been with Lutron for quite some time in a bunch of different roles. But really, I wanted to first start out by just, this is a smart home made simple presentation. That's what we're going to focus on, but I'd be remiss not to talk about Lutron because many of you are familiar with Lutron products and have worked with Lutron products with our Divas and Ariadnes. And of course, Lutron founded lighting control category and has built the company and business up in 1959 in a side room in Brooklyn. And from there, Mr. Spira, who unfortunately passed a few years ago, but built a company that was really founded on 5 principles, the first of which was taking care of the customer. And that's really reflected in everything that we do, how we operate, and the products, and why we have such a well-respected product and really quality and innovation. And a lot of that has to do with the innovation. And through the years, as Brian's going to explain in a couple minutes, really we've been doing a lot of this smart home stuff before the smart home even was talked about. So it's pretty interesting when you see some of that. But really, it's important to take away that we take care of the customer, we make things easy for contractors, and build that into each and every product that we make. Next slide, Brian. So one thing I wanted to share with you today is 3 products introduced within the last year, new things, like Divas and Ariadnes. But on the left is a product called Dahlia that was just recently introduced. And it's really the first rotary dimmer designed to operate LEDs. So we had developed the C.L product, which is now branded LED Plus. I also mentioned that on here today. All of our previously known C.L products are now LED Plus. So Dahlia is the first rotary style dimmer. And there's a lot of people out there that still prefer that very intuitive, simple design. And we added things like a real cool light level and things that are hard to see on here, but when you see it, I think you'll appreciate it. In the middle is a product we introduced about a year ago called Sonata. And what Sonata is it features a real intuitive rocker switch on and off, but also a real touch-sensitive light bar on the side that makes things easy to adjust, and a really sleek design. So it's our latest, really our first new style of dimmer in quite some time, and it really reflects a lot of what we have in our Maestro and Diva and kind of blends it into one. And on the far right is a product called Maestro Pro. And what Maestro Pro is, I tell contractors all the time, this would be the first Lutron product I'd have in my truck if I was a residential contractor, because this really is your problem solver. It does everything. It's designed to operate forward phase and reverse phase dimmers. And really, if the light source you're using is designed to be dim, this can probably do that. So it's a real good go-to kind of product that really we've had a lot of success in and getting a lot of good feedback on. So those are the 3 latest wall box things. And as I mentioned, we're going to spend most of our time today talking about the connected home and the smart home opportunity, because the opportunity there is real, and it's incredible these days as far as what's happening and how simple some of this stuff has become. So Brian, next slide. I'm an older guy in my 50s, not afraid to say that, but I grew up with the stuff on this screen, and to put it in perspective, this was what was just imaginary in the future. And if you really dive in and look at some of these pictures, the picture on the bottom left, boy, that's a pretty thick TV by today's standards. And back then it was very futuristic to think that you could have a TV hanging on a wall somewhere. So a lot of this stuff is real today. But what's most interesting is the stuff is becoming real. It's easy. It's attainable by many, many people, by middle America. And really it's designed to help people's lives get easier and make things easier for them. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bryan, and he can walk you through some of the smart home products and some of the timelines that brought us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you all again for joining us this morning. Again, my name is Bryan Kelly. I'm with Synergy Electrical Sales, residential manager. I've been doing this since 1998, I was saying earlier this morning, which is kind of hard to believe. But this is kind of a timeline I like to review, because it really is amazing how quickly technology has evolved. And when you start looking at a light bulb that's introduced in 1879, 50% of homes had that light bulb in their home in 1931, right? So you're looking at 50 years. You jump up to 1976, first personal computer, 50%, 20 years later in 1995. If you go to 2007, that iPhone, it didn't take 20 years to get an iPhone in 50% of Americans' hands. So very right in the middle of that screen there, you'll see 1997, Lutron actually introduced Radio Raw, which is the basis basically of all of this radio technology. So interestingly enough, 1999, Wi-Fi as we know it today was widely introduced. So Lutron was ahead of even back then, and we started manufacturing and researching that product in the early 90s. So what that was is the first two-way radio frequency, right? Mr. Spira saw that cell phone, which back then were basically the phones that were in the bag in the car, right? He figured, why can't we take that technology, that radio technology, and put that in the back of a wall box device? And then we'll create our own radio frequency throughout the home. So that's kind of the genesis of where all this all began. Obviously, since then, there's been a lot of introduction. As we speak to wireless technology, right here you have it. So even in the 1980s, we were using that low megahertz transmission for things like garage door openers. Even key fobs started coming in back then. And then as we came into the 2000s, obviously, some of this technology based around the Wi-Fi routers in your home, the 2.4 gigahertz. So this technology has been with us for quite a while here. But today, this is what people talk about in their homes, right? We start talking about what's the technology or that homeowners are now asking us for. We're probably asking you for this. I have several contractors who will contact me and say, my homeowner would like to introduce this, and I don't know about it. Can you inform me? So smart climate control, HVAC control. We work with Honeywell, Ecobee, Carrier, some of the really powerful HVAC partners in the industries. Automated shades, so homeowners now want to have the ability to control that natural sunlight that comes in, and we certainly can do that. Lutron is a very large manufacturer of shading. Talk a little bit about that in the presentation. Smart music. So Sonos has wireless speakers. Again, a great system on its own. You can buy that speaker, download their app, and then stream your music. Again, this is a standalone type of a product, but this is what homeowners are having in their homes. Smart voice control. I don't think there's anybody on this call that hasn't heard of or used some of these products. Obviously, Alexa, Google Play, HomeKit with the Siri. So all of these are making our lives easier. Just being able to ask them what time of day is it, what's the weather, certainly makes your life more convenient. Smart lighting control. So people want to have automated lighting control. That could be time of day, technology. It might have to do with where you are in relationship to the home. And we're obviously going to spend some time on that. And then security. So the wireless technology here, probably the most familiar one at this point is the Ring. So Ring doorbells, Ring security cameras, the ability to put that Ring at your front door and see if somebody is approaching, being able to have that video right on your phone. And now we have the ability through the Lutron Caseta system to actually integrate some of that with our lighting control. So these are the things that most people are at least talking about or knowledgeable about. So that's where we're kind of focused here. And with those connected products, if you will, there's large opportunities here. So this is an estimation, right? Projection worldwide of connected devices. We're kind of right in the middle of this now, but these are billions, 35 billion connected devices. So when we talk about this, we're going to spend a lot of time on Caseta today, but realize that there are commercial products as well, right? When you get to the Comcast building in Philadelphia, we're not looking to use Caseta, right? We have a commercial product called Hvac, and realize that connected devices worldwide could be everything from your router to your cameras to your streaming devices. You know, all of that would be connected. So you can see very quickly here, in 4 years, we're doubling that number. So projected 75 billion devices. So large opportunities here, not only on the residential side, but certainly on the commercial side as well. And if you're not familiar what product to use, that's why we're here. That's what Mike and I do all the time. Today, residentially, this comes to us from the National Homeowners Association. The average home today, and there's 114 million of them, looks like there's a thermostat, a couple door locks, 22 switches, and 20 windows. So as we talk about the connected side of that, right, what type of products do we have to go along with those opportunities? On the thermostat side, like I mentioned, our partners at Honeywell, certainly a nice opportunity there for them as well. Door locks. In my home, I have a Schlage door lock, which is a deadbolt. Very easy to replace and then run through the wrap. But the real opportunity is when you think about this is these switches and these windows. 22 switches in the average home. The average home. When you start looking around, you start looking at not only your hallways, your front doors, your exterior lighting, your kitchens, your dining rooms, you know, bathrooms, basements, mechanical rooms, walk-in closets. There's large opportunities here. And we're not saying that all of those devices need to be on a system, but the opportunity is there. Should you want to start small and then add on to these systems, you can certainly do that. I live in a townhouse. There's 10 windows in my home, and I'm in a center unit. So 20 windows in your average size home, I can imagine that would be relatively close to being accurate. But Lutron does have battery operated shades that we'll talk about here in a minute. Very simply, if you can put 4 screws into a window frame, you could be in the shading business today. These are, they run on D-cell batteries, and Lutron Technologies has those batteries lasting anywhere from 5 to 7 years. So this is not a type of product where your homeowner's constantly going to have to be replacing those batteries. So again, another huge opportunity for us in the residential markets. So all of this basically brought us to Caseta Wireless, which was believed 7 years ago now. This summer will be Caseta's 7th birthday here. So, and what is Caseta? Very simply, it's a a simple, affordable, and very reliable family of products that control lights, wireless shades, and temperatures through HVAC control. We can do this as both standalone, meaning there are no smartphones involved here. We're just using the Lutron product to communicate between each other. And then we get into the connected options, which is basically where we introduce our hub, or what we refer to as a bridge. And then you have the ability to download an app, and that app gives you all kinds of different functionality. This is just an overview of what the Caseta offering is there. You can see right in the middle is a wall box dimmer, right? Next to that, you have a Pico, which is a small battery operated device. But we also do plug-in lamps, lamp modules. You'll see there are shades, some HVAC control, and then obviously working with the app through the bridge there. So kind of just mention these again, but depending on what your application is, dimmers and switches, and then your lamp modules as well. So load-bearing devices. These are actually the devices that handle the lighting load, right? So if you go into an existing home today, you can take out a switch, which may have been installed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, right? You're going to take that switch out, replace it with a corresponding dimmer or switch, whatever the lighting load is. So screw-in LED lamps. You might have under cabinet lights. You might have some exterior lighting that's just on a switch. On the lamp side, that's literally a module that plugs into your receptacle. So unplug your table lamp, plug the module into the wall, and then plug the lamp into it. These devices then all speak radio frequency. So although you put them into the wall, and if you were to walk up to them, they would act as a dimmer or a switch. However, understand that these have the ability to both send and receive radio frequency. There is no additional wiring in the back of that box, hot and neutral, ground. And you basically are in the lighting control business. So as I mentioned, you're going to want to pair up that dimmer with your lighting load. So if it's a screw-in LED lamp, right, we have a basic unit. If it's something you need more power, 1,000-watt type of 250 watts of LED, we have that ability. Neutral wire. If you have the ability to put a neutral when you're using LEDs, please do so. The dimming performance is much better whenever you have a neutral device. For ELV, electronic low voltage, we introduced this product, the Elv Plus. So for that reverse phase dimming, people know that as electronic low voltage. You would need this dimmer. You'll also see in the center of that picture there's a dot. That dot represents your favorite light level. So if you were to walk into the space here, you could just hit that center dot. And if you always wanted that light to come to 75%, you could do that. This gets set by setting the light level to what you want by using that up and down arrow. And then just like your car radio, you hold that hold that center button about 5 or 6 seconds, the LEDs all blink, and you've captured that new level. So again, very easy to use, very user-friendly type of product here. Our plug-in lamp dimmer. This is probably the easiest way to get involved with Caseta if you do not have it or you want to try it out here. So if you could get a couple of table lamps in your home, unplug them from the wall, plug them into this module, plug it into the wall. You now have a device that speaks radio frequency. So this will handle up to 300 watts of incandescent. It'll handle up to 100 watts of screw-in LED. Although I've never seen a 100-watt screw-in LED, it certainly is rather powerful. There are two sides on this, so you can actually plug two table lamp modules into this. On the bottom here, it talks about using this device as an extender. And when we get to the part regarding the bridge or the hub, I'll talk about that as well. We also have switches. We are a dimming company. That's what Lutron was founded on, but certainly have the ability to switch devices. If you're switching fluorescence in a laundry room, maybe you have some switches with your landscape lighting, we certainly have the ability to do that. You will see the in-wall switch Pro is dual voltage, 120, 277. So we do have contractors who will use this product in commercial applications. So if you are just want to put it in a small office and give somebody some time clock functionality, you certainly have the ability to do that with our Pro switch. So those are your traditional load-bearing devices, but we also have fans, residential ceiling fans that we deal with in a home. So we came out with a 4-speed fan control. Looks very familiar with the other ones, similar, but the icons change there. So when you look at this device, you know that this is for a ceiling fan. 4 speeds is indicative of those LEDs on the side, and then you can raise and lower that fan right from this device. Again, you have that favorite speed setting, that dot in the middle there. So when you walked into the room, if you always wanted that to come to level 3, you can set it for that just by putting it into that setting mode, hold that button down, and away you go. This is a brand new product, exterior. This will start shipping in April of this year. So an exterior type of device, think about your holiday lights outside. Think about inflatables or pool pumps. So if you want to be able to add those throughout the year, or maybe it's an exterior setting and you have some string lights and you just want those to come on certain times of the day, you certainly have the ability now with this new device. This is one of, if not the only, exterior product that Lutron offers until you get into some very high-end commercial products that we offer. So those are what we refer to as our load-bearing devices. Your dimmers, your switches, your table lamps, your fan speeds, and then also your exterior lighting. So those are the devices that start your system. Again, the installation of these is very simple. If you're familiar with dimmers and switches, same. And then some of this is just plug-in technology. So that's step 1. Step 2 is when we introduce our Picos. So a Pico is basically the battery-operated radio frequency remote that communicates with these other Lutron devices. So again, how you pair these is very simple. You would go to those load-bearing devices and put them into a pairing mode. You hold the button for about 6 seconds. The LEDs start to blink. You then hold the Pico button, the bottom button on there, for about 6 seconds, and those devices will be paired together. For our contractor friends on the call here that have been using Caseta, we kind of refer to this now as a wireless 3-way. If you go into a home and the homeowner wants to put in a 3-way switch at the end of the hall, you no longer need to worry about, am I going to have to cut a hole in the wall? Oh, there's brick. Oh, there's a mirrored wall. Oh, there's a backsplash, right? You could take that device, the existing device, out of the wall, install a Caseta device, take a Pico, pair them together, and now you will have 3-way capabilities. We get the question all the time, how far is that range? How far can that device communicate to them? The Lutron specification tells us 30 feet. That is absolutely going to work 30 feet. Concrete, steel, rebar, drywall, insulation, you name it, it's going to work at 30 feet. If this is open construction, as we see a lot today in open homes, you're more likely to see somewhere 50 to 70 feet. When you go outside and you're in the backyard, want to communicate with that dimmer or switch that's located at the back door, you can find yourself up to 100 feet away rather easily, actually. So these Picos are quite powerful. One of the nice things about Picos is there's several ways to mount them. The most common one that we see is a mounting kit. So there is an adapter plate that gets snapped into the Pico, and then that screws to the electrical box, and then you put a faceplate on the top of it. Looking at that device, a homeowner or somebody that doesn't know any better would think that that's a switch that is powered through the wires in the wall, and it's not. So you can have multiple Picos. Your Picos can also communicate to more than one device. If you wanted to group 2 or 3 dimmers and switches together, you can just put them in the pairing mode individually and then assign them all to the same Pico. So you'll also see here a pedestal. These are great for bedsides. Our car visor clip, if you're in a car and you want to control your lights coming up the driveway, you can certainly do that as well, although we might have a better answer for you there. And then obviously the device is handheld, but a lot of people will lose it, including myself. And so you want to try and mount it somewhere if you can. We have 4-button Picos. So if you start getting into somebody wanting to have different scenes throughout their house, come into your kitchen and there's a breakfast button, and there's a lunch button, and there's a dinner button. You might want to hide all of those kitchen devices around in the pantry and then just have a scene controller. So that certainly is what these are focused towards. We also have ones which are 2 groups. So if you wanted to do an interior on and an interior off, and then you could have the exterior on and the exterior off. First floor, second floor, east wing, west wing, really the choices are limitless there. And then we do have the ability to custom engrave Picos. So if something here doesn't fit your liking and you want to engrave something, we certainly have the ability to do that as well. We also have a fan Pico. I mentioned the fan devices earlier, so if you wanted to pair them up, we have the ability to do that with the Pico. Think of your bedroom if you have a fan control by the door, and now you want to have control by the bedside, right? You could put 2 Picos on either side of the bed to control that ceiling fan without ever having to get out of the bed. So again, I think at this point there's over 2,500 variations of Picos when we start talking about different engravings and different colors. So we probably have a Pico that's going to fit the need. I mentioned in the beginning here about battery powered shades. So we do offer our own shades. These are Lutron made products. This is a great business to be in. If you wanted to be in this, we certainly can have that conversation. But it is as easy as 4 batteries. In order for this to pass, Mrs. Spear, the founder's wife, she said, I have to be able to change those batteries with one hand. And truly, it is that easy. You snap the button, the battery cover flips open, and you can pop those batteries out with one hand. So we have honeycombs. We also have rollers as well. So you'll see up to this point, we haven't spoken anything about, these are all devices that live in the home and communicate to each other. We have not spoken anything about a smartphone, bridges, none of that type of thing. And that's where we start to talk about a wireless connected system, right? I want to connect to my smartphone. I want to connect to Google and Siri and Alexa. I want to do all that, right? I kind of like to pause here and talk about Lutron's a little different, where we communicate this radio frequency that's happening through these devices is not communicating on your Wi-Fi network that's in your home. We do not use a 2.4 gigahertz router to communicate, right? These devices communicate on the 434 megahertz bandwidth. That bandwidth is licensed by the FCC, and we have the ability to send a certain strength signal for a certain amount of time, and then that communication must cease. This is what makes this system so reliable, right? Short spurts of information being sent at a very specific time when somebody pushes a button or walks into a room or asks it to, right? And then it has to stop communicating. So this is what Lutron found in the early 90s when we started doing that research for Radio Raw. And today, it is true, this is the same radio frequency bandwidth that we use. We do change this. Depending on which product family you're going to, if it's a residential product or if it is a commercial product. So very important that we speak about that. So what happens then? Now you want to communicate with your smartphone. So our bridge is that little device up there on the left-hand side. Some people refer to it as a hub. That hub, that bridge, is going to get powered up, plugs into a receptacle, and then we use an Ethernet to connect to your router. The reason that's done is for initial setup, and also if you are outside of the home and want to communicate in, your phone is going to look through that device through your router. Once it gets to the bridge then sends out all the communication to all the devices, all the Lutron devices. So interestingly, when you start talking about home networking, your router has so many ports, so many addresses. So a typical Wi-Fi router in a home will have about 32 addresses. That router will see that bridge as exactly one device, regardless of how many dimmers, switches, shades, however many you put on there, your Wi-Fi system sees Lutron as one device. As opposed to some competition that's out there, they don't do that. Each individual device has to be tied to the Wi-Fi network. And if your Wi-Fi network only has 32, maybe 50 devices, you can see that you would bog down your Wi-Fi system rather quickly. So another differentiator for Lutron here. We do have two types of bridges. In essence, they do exactly the same thing. The Pro is going to work with other parties' equipment. So if you are involved with a Control4 project or a Crestron product, and they want to use the Lutron devices in their system, you would have to use the Pro bridge in order for them to program that system. Otherwise, if you're not on those jobs and your homeowners you don't think they're going to get there, you're fine with just a smart bridge. These both support up to 75 devices, 75 Lutron devices, dimmers, switches, table lamp modules, Picos, shades, outdoor devices. We're going to talk about sensors. 75 is the number. If you start looking around at a house and you're counting 50, 60 devices, and you know that there's going to be additions down the road, you might want to start thinking about Caseta's bigger brother, which we call Radio Raw Select. Radio Raw Select is very similar to Caseta. However, it goes up to 100 devices. And if you need to have that conversation, please reach out. Glad to walk you through that. You'll see on here, the range of this is 30 feet. This kind of acts like I mentioned before, 30 feet's the worst case scenario, right? It's going to work at 30 feet. If you need to extend that, last year we introduced a repeater. So that repeater will now allow you to extend an additional 30 feet. 30 feet is about a 2,500 square foot home. By adding that additional repeater, you've added on another 2,500 square feet. So you should be able to cover a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot home rather easily. I did mention in the beginning, the table lamp module has the ability to be added in here as an extender as well. So we do have the ability to stretch this radio frequency a little bit. So don't get bogged down on 30 feet. That's a Lutron specification, and we're very conservative with that number. So just use it as a guideline, and you'll be fine. The next thing you're going to want to do is download the Lutron app. That app is available on both Apple devices and Android devices. It is a free download. There are no monthly charges here. And the app does update as we introduce new products or new features in the app. It will update like other apps. So you just want to keep that up to date. Through this app is where we start to talk about the technology that we can bring into this. So we start talking about our HVAC partners. So Honeywell, Ecobee, Carrier, they all have Wi-Fi thermostats, right? We can add them into the Lutron system. We actually source a Honeywell thermostat that you can buy from Lutron. It is a Honeywell, one of their best-selling Wi-Fi thermostats. So if you're not familiar with the HVAC world, but your homeowner wants to have that integration, we certainly have that ability to do so. I mentioned earlier about sensors. So now when the parents complain about the kids leaving the lights on in the basement, you can put a sensor down in that basement and have those lights time out when they leave. This is a lithium battery device. It literally screws to the wall. And then the settings are all done right on top of it. So it's button presses to control the timeouts. You know, after 15 minutes of seeing no motion, send a signal to my corresponding devices and have them turn on. So a great feature that we can add through the app here. We also just introduced a feature that we use in conjunction with the sensors, which is Dusk Mode. So you can say to the sensor, after a certain time of day, I want those sensors to be active or inactive. So this is something that's brand new, just released within the last 30 days here. We also, this is where it kind of all started, was through the app being able to schedule your lights through time clock functionality. Your phone knows where you are. Your bridge to your system knows what IP address it's on. That IP address lets us know, you know, you're in Eastern Pennsylvania. It lets us know we're on daylight savings time. So the time clock functionality of all this just flows right through the app. Geofencing, I think I have another slide down the road here, but geofencing uses the maps inside of your home. It knows where you are in relation to the home. It can turn your lights on as you come home, or it can turn your lights off as you leave. Smart Away, again, basically using your lights as making it look like your home, right? Think about Home Alone, the movie Home Alone, right? Activating lights randomly. So you set Smart Away, and then they randomize. And I have another slide in a minute here. We also have the ability to do multiple homes. If you're so fortunate to have one of these homes here, or if you have a home at the beach, you have a home at the mountains, you have a home in the Chesapeake Bay, right? You can actually have multiple Caseta systems right on your one app, but then you would list them through the upper right-hand corner. There's a button up there that would show you multiple homes. You select which home you want, and then it pops right into that system. I mentioned Smart Away. So smart away, again, is when you randomize those lights. So some people want them to be from sunset to sunrise. Some people might want to randomize their lights from 7 p.m. to midnight. And what it literally does is it will send out, you select which lights you want to be affected. Usually they're interior because your exteriors are on time clocks. And basically you can randomize those lights to turn on and off. Maybe 2 hours, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 20 minutes. But they just go on gradually to make it look like somebody's there. We have the ability to control Caseta right from your Apple Watch. When Apple introduced this watch, Lutron was standing on that stage with them with this Caseta product. So if you have that watch on your hand and you're coming home, it can trigger a scene to turn your lights on inside of your home. It's a very big accomplishment for Lutron to be standing on that stage with Apple. Never coming home to a dark home. Again, using that geofencing in your phone to know where you are. And that's all done right through your settings in the app. Very simply, there's a geofencing button. You tap that, it locates where you are in your home, and then you have the ability to draw that circle out as little as 1,000 feet. I believe you can go up to 10,000 feet. So a nice little tool there. We do work with Siri as well, Apple HomeKit. So a lot of other systems don't work with Siri. Lutron certainly does, as well as Google and Alexa as well. Something we introduced at the end of last year was our integration with Ring. So now Ring doorbells. People are becoming familiar with Ring doorbells, seeing the video of somebody dropping off a package. You can also use them as a deterrent, right? When somebody approaches your doorbell in the middle of the night, it can now trigger a signal to go to your Caseta system to turn that porch light on, or to turn all of your exterior lights on. So again, being able to use those cameras to set up different scenes throughout your home. But again, integration with a company like Ring is a pretty big win here. And again, Ring has a great system all their own, but being able to tie this all together is what makes this so powerful. So you can see here, a lot of ways to control your system. Walk up to the devices, use them as a dimmer. You can certainly integrate some Picos in there. You have control right from your phone to use the widgets. So you can tap on your kitchen island light and be able to control that light right from your phone. Different scenes, time of day, the geofencing, sensors, your wearables, obviously voice control there as well. Beyond that, when we start to talk about some of this, we talk about other partners who are in this field as well. So you can see Lutron plays with a lot of different other providers here. You'll see controlled from the third-party app. That's a lot of other manufacturers that are in this connected world. So Savant, Crestron, Control4, Alarm.com. So all of these type of systems will use this Caseta product in their system. And then we have the ability from other people's app. If you want to use a Samsung SmartThings app, we can certainly work with that as well. So a lot of different ways you can use this product. And again, hopefully you've seen here, it's rather easy. Like we're replacing dimmers and switches, you're plugging devices in. But honestly, the easiest way to get involved, if you're not already familiar with Caseta, is to start with a starter kit. We have starter kits with dimmers, we have a switch, and we have a table lamp starter kit. So all of these kits include your bridge. So if you go to the table lamp, you literally take that box, plug a table lamp into the lamp module, plug it into the wall, download an app, and you could be in this in literally 20 minutes, 15 minutes. And then you can just add on as you add more devices. It's very simple to add them through the app. There's a button there that says add device. You would go in and get started that way. These devices here bring us to a program which Lutron introduced a few years ago called Lutron Pro. And this is for our residential contractors. I know there's a few on the call already that are Lutron Pros. The Pro program basically gives you a couple of neat features. It extends the warranty for any of these products that are in these systems installed by our pros. It allows us to find a pro, so you could be listed on Lutron's website. And then throughout the year, Lutron runs promotions specifically for our pro contractors. They just did one with Ring when Ring was introduced. Start up a system through the contractor mode, and you would receive a free Ring product. So a lot of our contractors took advantage of that. And then the free product is as you register these projects, you earn points, and then you can use those points towards different things. So it might be T-shirts, it might be a bridge, it might be a Pico. So great program. If you wanted to get involved with this, it's lutron.com/pro, P-R-O, and all the information is right there for you. And with that, if there are any questions here, Sarah, I gladly take them.
All right.
My contact information is on the screen here. I cover Eastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and the state of Delaware. So,
well, we have some questions in the chat. So Matt, one.
Yes. What colors do the wireless shades come in? And as a follow-up, can the switches be installed outside in a weatherproof box and cover?
So the question regarding shades, there are, dare I say, thousands of different types of fabrics. However, the residential product, I believe we're up to 240 different colors or fabrics, really. It's not just colors. There's also opaqueness, so how open is that sheer, down to your blackouts, which blacks out a room. So there's a whole offering depending on what you want to do there. Regarding the outdoor question, so Lutron products are rated for interior only. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so
They
much.
are electronic devices, right? So you have to be careful of moisture. And moisture inside an electronic device that's trying to send radio signals, you don't want to get yourself caught there.
Is radio RA2 still a good system to keep in home?
Absolutely. So there's a progression here on the residential side, right? Caseta was introduced 7 years ago. Basically, when we figured out the app, right? People wanted to be able to control things through an app. So Radio Raw has been around forever. It still is. It's very viable. It's a great product. You can do a lot of things with Radio Raw you can't do with Caseta. But Caseta is kind of an entry point. Then we go up to Radio Raw Select, which what we did is we took a select group of products out of the Radio Raw offering. And now that product offering is all controlled through an app. Then we go into a full Radio Raw system. A full Radio Raw system entails computer programming. So you actually would have to go online, take the Lutron class, download the software. At that point, you are programming your system through the software. That goes up to 200 devices. There's a second level of programming which would be needed to get you to 200 devices, but it does go to 200. And then above and beyond that is a system called Homeworks. Homeworks will go up to 10,000 devices. So, and the price points along the way obviously increase for all of this stuff. So a lot of people like to get involved with Caseta, but then they start to realize they need a little bit more. I need to do 0 to 10 volt. I need different colors. I need a different look. So that's why those other product offerings are there.
Thank you, Brian. Can you provide a link for the full catalog of products discussed this morning? What's the easiest way for the attendees to check out the products you were discussing today?
I believe, Sarah, we can send a follow-up of some sort, or Matt? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we'll send some links. There is a complete, there's a specification guide, which is basically all of the Lutron products. So the wall box product and the Caseta products in there. And then we'll also send you the latest Caseta brochure, which will have all the model numbers and then references as well. What you doing?
Thank you. For a ceiling fan, do you need 3-wire to operate the fan and light separately?
3-wire is required, and it is a fan-only device. This is not a combo device, so it is a fan only, and you do need those 3 wires.
Thank you.
All right. I don't see any more questions in the chat. But I would like, first off, Brian, thank you so much for the very, very informative presentation. The team and I were texting back and forth going, oh, we want that. Oh, we want that. So that was very, very interesting, and certainly can see that this is a growing opportunity for our contractors. So with that, guys, everybody have a great day. We'll be sure to send some follow-up to you all. You'll have the contact information of our presenters today. Once again, I'd like to thank Billows Electric Supply for their sponsorship this morning. Their next coffee talk is going to be a little bit different on April 1st. We're actually going to have my benefit advisor come and talk to all of us about changes in healthcare. So I expect to see quite a few of you back who are interested in that. So with that, Brian, Mike, anything else you'd like to close out with for the morning?
No, just thanks everybody, and ask questions. Don't, if you need to reach out to Brian or myself, please do, because this stuff is really, it's exploding, and we all want to, take advantage of this, growing residential market we're experiencing today. So,
Definitely.
thank you for attending.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.